Have you ever heard the expression, curiosity killed the cat? Well, in the story that I share today, curiosity didn't kill my sister, but it made her very ill. Welcome to Amish Roots. I'm so glad you've joined me. In the Amish community, it is not unusual to see the men lighting up a cigarette, smoking cigars, or puffing on a pipe. To the English, this seems like a contradiction to everything they believe about who and what the Amish should be. To be fair, I personally think it's a disgusting practice, but I have yet to find it denounced in scripture. As I said, this is not an uncommon practice with the Amish men, but it would be highly unlikely for you to see the women smoking. So, even though the men in our household picked up this filthy habit, you can imagine my surprise when I caught my sister lighting up a cigarette. I had climbed the stairs to get something from my bedroom and noticed movement in the room at the top of the stairs. This was the room my brothers shared, and knowing that they were all at work, I wondered who was in there. Glancing in the open doorway, I saw my sister frantically trying to stub out a cigarette in the ashtray. I walked in the room horrified and confronted her, asking her what she thought she was doing. My sister admitted that she had taken one of my brother's cigarettes because she was curious to see what it was like to smoke. Knowing this was not an Amish thing to do, and I was positive she was now condemned from ever entering heaven, I announced that I was going to tell on her. I can't remember what exactly she said to me, but my sister somehow convinced me smoking was not as bad as I thought, since Dad and the boys did it. She also reassured me she was only trying to see why they seemed to enjoy it so much. Then proceeded to encourage me to try it, saying it was easy. I think I was 14 at the time, so she would have been 19. So that definitely put her in the older, wiser category, right? Ach, die Lieber! This is an expression in Pennsylvania Dutch that translates to, oh dear one, and we often used it when we were surprised or frustrated. Well, somehow she talked me into trying a cigarette. I know, now is a good time to say, ach, die Lieber. My sister explained that she would light it and get it going, and then I was supposed to put it in my lips, suck gently, and then blow out the smoke. Okay, so if you've listened to my vlog on driving, you understand I do not do things gently. So, you know where this is going. I put the cigarette in my lips, took a huge breath, and immediately began to choke, wheeze, cough, and sputter. My eyes, ears, nose, and mouth all had smoke and moisture coming out of them. My lungs were on fire, and I had issues breathing. And do you know what my dear sister did? She grabbed the cigarette, stubbed it out, then whispered harshly, to be quiet or Mum would hear us. Yup. Say it with me. Ach, die Lieber. She hustled me across the hall to my room, and when I was under control, she announced that now I could not tell on her because she would say I did it too. I was so glad that I could now catch my breath, that I was more than happy to promise I would not breathe a word to anyone. And I kept that promise for many years until I thought it was safe to share it without either of us getting into trouble. Even though the experience of smoking my first cigarette went horribly wrong, I thank my sister for making me try it that day because I never wanted to do it ever again. Unfortunately, my sister did not learn the same lesson I did until later. Her curiosity about smoking continued. Although she put cigarettes behind her, she would often ask my dad about why he smoked and what it was like to smoke cigars and the pipe. My dad usually smoked roll your own cigarettes, but often enjoyed a cigar or the pipe after dinner. And that's when it happened. We were sitting around the table after eating, and Dad pulled out his tobacco pouch and pipe. My sister declared that she could probably roll a cigarette just as well as he could. Well, my dad, never backing away from a challenge, decided to take her up on it. Needless to say, it was no contest, as my sister's cigarette was tightly wrapped at one end, but not so much on the other. So she decided to take it up a notch and told my dad she could probably pack and light his pipe. Again, he let her do it. My sister was struggling with the whole process, so Dad decided to talk her through it. He explained each step of stuffing the tobacco into the pipe, and then he let her try to light it. She tried again and again to suck on the pipe while using a match to light the tobacco. I'm not sure if my dad purposely let her keep trying to get the pipe going or not, but it soon became apparent that all the effort she was putting in was starting to make her unwell. I was witnessing before my eyes somebody actually turning green around the gills. With a big grin, my dad finally told her she was to hand the pipe over, and he cheerfully started puffing away. My sister, looking like she was one step away from losing her supper, very quietly said, with a weak smile, "Well, I did it." Ach, die Lieber! Now I consider my dad a pretty smart guy, and you may not agree with his parenting methods, but I am pretty sure he caught on to my sister's curiosity with smoking. In his efforts to rein in her obsession, I think he allowed her to get sick so she would not want to do it again. Dad literally killed her desire to smoke, and it worked. My sister never did become the first chain smoking Amish woman, and this was good. So, dear ones, there are two lessons I would suggest that you learn here. Smoking, whether it is cigarettes, cigars, pipes, or anything else, is an addictive and unhealthy waste of money. And secondly, never underestimate your parents. My sister's curiosity about things isn't a bad thing, but perhaps she should have explored it in a different way. Maybe someday I will tell you about her obsession with alcohol. Mach's gut, and see you next time on Amish Roots, plain talk in a modern world.